I work in a gift shop up in southeast Alaska. Our store is right under a tree that houses a family of angry crows. Tourists often ask me how I can tell the difference between ravens and crows. I tell them this: all birds have specialized tail feathers that help with flight in Alaska's thin, cold air. These feathers are called pinions. If you look closely, you can tell that ravens have 4 of these feathers, while crows only have 3. I guess you could say it's just a matter of opinion. Late one night, a police officer was patrolling a desolate area popular with young couples doing more than just sitting in the dark. Catching his attention was a couple in a car with the interior light on. Moving closer, the cop could see a young man behind the steering wheel reading a newspaper. In the back seat, a young blonde was knitting. The lawman walked up to the vehicle and knocked on the driver's side window. The startled lad rolled it down and said, "Yes, officer?" "What are you doing?" the cop asked. "Isn't it obvious?" the young man replied. "I'm reading today's newspaper." Pointing to the blonde in the back seat, the policeman grunted, "And what's she doing?" "I believe she's knitting a sweater," the guy behind the wheel responded. "How old are you?" the cop inquired. "I'm 22, officer." "And the girl? How old is she?" The dude in the driver's seat looked at his watch and said, "She'll turn 18 in 10 minutes. A good friend told me a story once. When she was a kid, her family would often go to zoos and museums while on vacation. They were in the aviary on one of those visits looking at birds. My friend saw a crow and asked the zookeeper a question. "What's the difference between a raven and a crow?" "By die schon." The zookeeper looked at her, smiled, and started to answer. "Have you ever heard of a pinion feather?" he said. "Pinions are the feathers at the tip of a bird's wing that allow it to fly. They are also the ones that people will trim to prevent birds from flying away. Crows have 5 pinion feathers, while ravens have 6. So if you think about it, it's really just a matter of opinion." To this day, my friend and her family don't know the real answer to what's the difference between a crow and a raven. A young man was sitting outside a pub, having a drink and generally feeling good about life, when out of absolutely nowhere he was struck across the face by a newspaper wielded by a furious nun. She began sounding off to him about the evils of drink. "How dare you, you scoundrel? Have you no shame? Drinking is a sin. Alcohol is the blood of the devil." After 5 minutes of listening to her spleen, the young man interrupted. "How do you know all these things, sister?" he asked. She sniffed haughtily. "My mother superior told me." "But have you ever had a drink yourself?" "Don't be silly, of course I haven't." "Then how can you honestly say you know it is evil?" To this, she did not respond, but glowered at him. The young man sighed and pulled out his wallet. "Come, sister. Sit with me." He pulled out enough money for 2 more drinks and put it on the table. "I will get you a drink, and I would like you to sit here and drink it with me. If, once you are done, you still believe that alcohol is evil, I will give up drinking." "But how can I, a nun, sit outside a pub drinking alcohol?" "Don't worry, I'll get it in a teacup." And with that, he stood and went in to order the drinks. He went over to the bartender and said, "Another pint for me, and a shot of vodka on the rocks." Leaning over the bar, he whispered into the bartender's ear, "And could you put the vodka in a teacup?" "Oh, no," moaned the bartender miserably. "Not that bloody drunken nun again." So there's this zoo, and this zoo isn't very affluent, but if someone visits the zoo, it is definitely to see their gorilla. One morning, the workers come in early to open the zoo like normal and find, to their great sadness, that their famous gorilla has died of old age. The zoo staff are incredibly distressed by this development because they loved that gorilla. It was a really great gorilla. And also because they probably won't have a job in a month after the zoo shuts down due to bankruptcy. But the zoo's owner, he's got an idea. He calls the gorilla's primary zookeeper into his office and says, "Hey, so I could fire you right now since we don't have a gorilla anymore, but I'm not going to." Instead, I want you to dress up in this highly realistic gorilla suit and pretend to be our beloved gorilla, just until we purchase another one, I promise." And so the zookeeper says, "All right, I'll pretend to be a gorilla." After all, no one who works at this zoo knows as much about gorilla behavior as me. And so he puts on the suit and starts doing his monkey thing. This dude becomes a sensation overnight. People are absolutely amazed by the human-like gorilla that this obscure zoo has acquired. Numbers are great, and for the first time in years, the zoo is turning a sizable profit. Now, a couple months go by, and the newness is starting to wear off. The zoo is still making plenty of money, but not as much as when the whole monkey thing started. And the zoo owner has gotten a little bit greedy. He calls the monkey man into his office and says, "Hey, dude, numbers are going down. I need you to get them back up again, or you'll be out of a job." The zookeeper is hugely frustrated by this unreasonable demand. He thinks, "I'm already being a monkey. What the heck else do you want me to do?" But instead of venting his spleen on his supervisor, he takes a deep breath and says, "All right, I'll see what I can do." That night, the monkey man breaks out of the gorilla enclosure, sneaks into the tiger enclosure, and waits for the zoo to open. As people stream by the next morning, he begins his new act, swinging around on the roof of the tiger enclosure, always just a few inches out of reach of the furious feline's jaws. This most definitely does catch people's attention and almost seems like a good idea. All the way up until the moment his hand slips and he falls down into the tiger's territory. The tiger starts prowling toward him, splayed helplessly on the ground, breath knocked from his lungs, and so the zookeeper-turned-monkey starts doing what any reasonable person would do. He starts yelling, "Help! Help!" at the top of his lungs. The tiger hears its prey's desperate screams and growls. It leaps, pins him down, and whispers in his ear, "You need to shut up. You're going to get us both fired." Old cowboy comes into the barber shop for a shave, tells the barber, "I'm looking for a clean shave. All these wrinkles on my face from old age, the sun, and wind. I haven't had a close, clean shave in years." Barber hands him a wooden ball and says, "Stick this in your cheek like a squirrel." The old cowboy does as he is told, and the wrinkles are stretched out smooth so the barber starts shaving. Then he switches to the other cheek and finishes the shave. Barber hands the old cowboy a towel, and the cowboy returns the wooden ball, saying, "Wow, I haven't had a shave this close in many years. Got a question for you, though. What would have happened if I had swallowed the ball?" The barber quickly answers, "I reckon you would have brought it back in a couple days like everyone else does."